The Owl House, Episode 4, The Intruder. Oh man, this episode is. What's interesting about the first three episodes in my mind, or just the first time I watched it, I guess, was, the pilot I thought was really good, and I'm like, all right, I'll check this out. I'll see the next episode. Pretty much had the same thought on the second episode. Third episode, I had a little bit more of an interest, especially with the school when they went to the school. I really like that idea. This is the episode where I was 100% committed to getting to the end of this, because what goes down in this episode is really, really intriguing, and really is kind of, I wouldn't say the overarching storyline of the season, but for the most part, it definitely plays a big role, and that's so okay. The intruder. So Luce, Ida, and King are in the house, are pretty much trapped in the house because it's raining outside. But we've learned why it's called the Boiling Isles, because there's boiling rain, and so Luce, of course, I like how Luce, they hear thunder outside, and Luce goes outside because she thinks it's just gonna be rain, and so she's really excited because she wants to experience her first rain on the Boiling Isles. But she crouches down and looks at a flower, and a drop of boiling rain comes down and just kills the flower instantly. Yeah, little dark moments like that make it kind of crazy but kind of funny. So apparently there's a lot of weird weather-like things on the Boiling Isles. Let's see, let's go through the list here. There are plagues. There's let's see, tornadoes, I think it was shale, hail, or something like that. Painbow, and according to King, he's like, oh, it's like a regular rainbow, but if you look at it, your body turns inside out. I don't know how one can record that without having to experience it. But yeah, so pretty much they're trapped in the house. And Luce takes this as an opportunity to convince Ida to finally teach her first spell. And so Ida, of course, Ida this time isn't like, she's not annoyed, or she's just tired again, but this time it's because she uses a shield spell to cover the house to protect it from the boiling rain, because it's boiling rain, so you can imagine what it can do to a house. So she's kind of getting tired, but Luce basically like persuades her to do it, because Ida likes shiny things, and so she has this, and Luce has this glowing pen, and so she's like, you can have the pen if you teach me a spell. And so the first spell that Ida decides to teach Luce, and I like this, it's a light spell. And if you look at the intro, you see it's pretty much the one that you see in the intro with Luce at the end, where she's holding that ball of light and she just lifts it, or holds it up into the sky. It's basically that, and it's a cool idea. But of course, she doesn't learn it. She doesn't do it. She doesn't do the spell right away, Luce, because Ida explains to Luce how magic works in the world, and so apparently it's. Let's see, there's two things. Okay, so one is a witch's heart. There's a difference between a human heart and a witch's heart. A witch's heart has this sack of bile that basically is like, it helps them. I think it's either it's the magical part of their body that allows them to do magic, or something along the line of that. But either way, that's the only way that's how a witch is able to just make spells and do magic. And so obviously Luce doesn't have that, and so she doesn't know if she can learn magic then. But Ida does tell her that there were old ways to learn magic. And so eventually, though, Ida passes out after doing too many spells, and Luce kind of freaks out because she's like, oh come on, one more spell won't kill you, and it's like she does one and it's just drops. So yeah, so Luce and King take her to her bed, or nest, I should say. Ida has a nest, and actually, yeah, it's like yeah. So with Ida out, Luce tries to figure out the spell. She like filmed Ida doing the light spell, and so she's trying to figure out what it was or how to replicate that. But King's annoyed by that because he was trying to teach her about demons. Like he's like, oh, you're trying to learn magic, but what about demons? Try and learn demons, because King is a demon. I mean, it's hard to remember that sometimes, but he's trying to teach her different types of demons, like the Snaggleback, which he claims is the most powerful, but Luce isn't really into that. She wants to learn her spell. And so King is like, okay, well, if I help you learn that spell, will you learn demons with me? And Luce is like, yeah, I'll spend a whole week with that if you can teach me. And so King I wouldn't say unintentionally. King basically says that he's noticed Ida drinking potions or elixirs, and he says he believes that's what he's like. Ida always seems tired like that, but when she drinks one of these things, she all of a sudden is energized, and basically he's like, that has to be kind of like her boost for power and stuff. And so Luce kind of gets excited, and so King goes back up into Ida's room and takes one that's the only one that's on the dresser that's next to Ida's nest. And so they go downstairs, and Luce is about to drink it, but then all of a sudden the house shakes, and Luce juggles the elixir and it breaks. And so then the lights go out, and of course they're like, wait, why are the lights going out? And King's like, Hootie controls the lights on the house. And all of a sudden you hear Hootie screaming, and then Hootie's screaming in pain, and so they go to the front of the house, and Hootie is just ripped down, and there's a giant monster there. And so Luce and King are freaked out. The monster heads out into the boiling rain, and then it jumps back through the window of the top of the second floor. And so Luce and King are pretty much freaked out about this, and they're trying to figure out what to do. And so they go up because the creature, they're worried about Ida, so they go up to check on Ida, and she's not there. And then Luce is kind of freaking out because, she's like, okay, well, we got to figure out what to do. And so King goes to get the demon book to figure out what demon this actually is. But then he comes back to Ida's room, and Luce is gone. And so King basically, he's like, oh no, the monster got Ida and Luce. So he goes, he finds what he believes is the monster, and he keeps thinking it's the Snaggleback that I said before, because he says there's only one demon that can survive boiling rain, that's a Snaggleback. And so he finds what he believes is a Snaggleback, but in a funny little I don't know if it's a joke or just a twist, but he pulls away, and it's not a Snaggleback. He finds the Snaggleback, but it's unlike in the book that they show earlier with this giant, like, ferocious beast. It's literally a purple monkey with a turtle-like shell, or tortoise-like shell for its back, and it's not even really a shell. It's like he just uses it as like a cover. And so King's like, wait, you're the one that ate my friends? And the monkey's like, what are you talking about? I literally came in here to hide from the rain. And so my favorite line in the whole episode is right after he says that, and King's like, wait, what? The real monster's hand breaks through the ceiling above the Snaggleback, grabs it, and pulls it up. And while it pulls it up, the Snaggleback's like, oh no, a twist! And so of course, King keeps running, and I really like the sound design for the beast. It has this you ever been like out in the woods and you hear like the this weird sound? I can't really describe it, but it's called the bug that makes this sound, or is it insect? I don't know. It's called a cicada. And the only reason why I know it's called a cicada is because when I was a little kid and I was on a coach pitch team for baseball, that was my team name. We were the Cicadas. I don't know. I don't remember why we called ourselves that, but that was just our team name. We were the Cicadas. So it's called a cicada if you want to go look it up. And because I can't really describe the sound, it's really hard to say, but that's kind of what the sound that Ida makes. Or I gave away. Dang it! I was hoping I could hold that off. Well, I mean, pretty much. Well, I mean, like I said. Well, actually, I did say there was a twist in that the monster wasn't a Snackleback. So Luce, King finds Luce, and they pretty much realize that on the elixir, it's on one part of that it was torn. There was a tag on the elixir that was torn, and on the tag that King had, it said an elixir a day, and then when he finds Luce has the second half of the tag on her foot, and he picks it up, and it's like a Luce, cursed, elixir a day keeps the curse at bay. And so they kind of put pretty much, like I said, with that, is that the monster is actually Ida. And so the elixir she drinks it, and the monster and the curse, and it's a curse. And it's kind of like the werewolf, so. And of course, Ida breaks in, and you get the full look of her. And I'll admit, it's pretty simple when it comes to the colors, but it's really creative when it comes to the actual design of it, because it's an owl-like body. It's an owl-like body, but she doesn't have wings, or she has wings, but that's not her main arms. She has front arms that are like claws, her back legs, and then there are moments where she sits up, and that's when it's like an owl sit on a perch, like on a tree, because the main body is like the owl, but then it's Ida's head, and then the wings are on the back, and then the arms are like here. And it's so cool. And also she's her black eyes, so she's very sensitive to light, and so that's how kind of they get her, is because they figure out that she's sensitive to light, because after Luce gets spooked by Ida, she drops her phone and it flashes the camera at her, and they see that. And King also tells Luce, because he is, even though he can be stupid here and there, he does have his wit and knowledge of some things. And of course he says, like, she has black eyes, so she must be sensitive to light. And so so they can't use Luce's phone, though, because after she dropped the phone, her camera gets busted, so she can't use the flashlight to blind her. But so and then King's like, well, what about the light spell? And of course Luce is like, I can't do that. And so she whips up the video, and the screen is cracked, and the phone's kind of busted, and so she replays the video of Ida doing the spell, and it starts to static out, but because of that, it then reveals this symbol within the spell circle that Ida does. And so Luce is really intrigued, and Luce notices this, but I don't know if this is because she's a human or not, but apparently she sees it, but King's like, wait, what? What do you mean? I don't see anything. I don't know if that's, do they bring that up later on the show? I don't know. I just know, so basically Luce is like, she grabs a leaf that's lying there, she takes the pen, places the leaf over the screen, and basically draws out the symbol, and when she completes the symbol and taps it, it then becomes the light spell. Like, the leaf crumbles up and turns into the light spell. And so that's Luce's first spell, and I really like that idea of using actual symbols, or glyphs they call it in this show. She uses glyphs to create the spells, and it's really, and so because of that, obviously she gets really excited, but the other cool thing about these is Ida early on in the episode says, the bigger the circle, the more powerful and bigger the spell. And so they lure Ida into another part of the house, like this blank wall, and so that, of course, Luz you draws a giant symbol of the light spell and hits it to completely blind the owl, or yeah, Ida, the cursed Ida, and basically knock her out. And so then they feed her the elixir so she can turn back to normal, and then of course this kind of leads to the predicament that Ida has, that she has to tell them what's going on. And so she tells them that she was cursed when she was younger. She doesn't know who cursed her. All she knows is that she was cursed, and that if she doesn't drink the elixir, she turns into this owl-like being, and hence that's why she's named the Owl Lady. And again, it's a pretty interesting dynamic with that. It's like, I mean, she even mentions it. She's like, learning to live with it. It's like having that balance. It's, because we've seen the werewolf stories, so seeing it like this is a little bit interesting. And again, this is kind of the episode that really sets that up, because you didn't know that about Ida going into this episode. So now that this revelation is here, you all of a sudden have this more intrigued storyline with her. Like, oh wait, so who cursed her? How has she been living with this curse? How does this curse? Is this elixir always going to work? And of course, the other one being Luz has learned her first spell, and now she knows magic. She can. I mean, it's a light spell, but I mean, again, I really like the idea that it's a light spell, because you look at Luz and you can't really imagine her doing like a dangerous lethal spell just yet. I mean, I say just yet because you never know what they could do with this show. So, what are the things that I meant? Did I forget anything else? Yeah. Yeah, pretty much all of that. That's pretty much all that's in this episode. Is, I guess the only thing I was hoping for this episode was they have a few They have a few scares in this episode, not like insane or intense, but there was this moment between when the beast first shows up and they go to find the beast. They do cut to commercial, but I felt like obviously I'm watching this on Disney Plus, so there isn't really a commercial. They just cut the black for a second and they cut back. I feel like maybe, again, this is because it's a 22-minute episode, maybe a little more time with them looking for the beast before they realize it's not like what they thought it was and that it was Ida. Maybe that would have been interesting, but that's really a nitpick. So, but like I said, I feel like this is really the episode that got me fully invested. I mean, the first 3 episodes, like I said, they each got me to go into the next one, but this is really the one where I'm like, okay, no matter what happens for the rest of the season, I'm seeing this thing through the whole way through, because I know with the revelation like this, you need to build on it, you need to continue it. It's kind of cliche if you think about it, the kind of werewolf style storyline, but it's still intriguing because it's your main character and it's a witch, and it's one that has a lot of connection. It's Gravity Falls. You got Gravity Falls parody. You gotta do it. So yeah. So that's episode 4, and hope to see you guys in the next one.